Oh, hello, Matt.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. How are you, Mr. Barash?
I am fantastic, thank you. Thanks for having me, man. It's good to be
Hey,
here.
it's a pleasure. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on the OhHello podcast and vodcast, where many people near and far are going to be watching this and learning more about how you view mentorship. So, with that said, I know who you are. I've had the pleasure of getting to know you over the past couple of years. Why don't you tell the audience who I have the pleasure of speaking with right now?
Who am I? Often feel like the most misunderstood man in media, but that's it. By day, I'm the senior vice president of the Americas and run our global publishing business here at Index Exchange. And I love AdTech, so I like to joke that I've been married to an industry for a long time. That said, AdTech is not life, and so life includes lots of things. This time of year, it's kind of tough to be a Mets, Rangers, Knicks, Tottenham Hotspur fan, and balance out, my love of sports with, I think, probably a really bad sneaker habit that many people know about. And so, for me, that all becomes secondary in a matter of weeks because I'm expecting my first child, and so I'm a dad to be, and super excited. Love my wife, love watching her go through this process, love going through the process with her together. And, think who I am and who I will be. I'm an inflection point. So thanks for asking.
That's amazing. What defines you, Matt? When you think about your brand, when you think about the kind of skill set that characterizes you, that you're going to be giving back to the OhHello community, what are just some skill sets and characteristics?
Sure. I'm a firm believer that your character is your calling card. And so, we are all out there as public personas, whether you've got 10 followers on Twitter or 10,000, whether you sit in a room and you command the room, whether you're sitting there listening, how you carry yourself says a lot. And so when we enter the public domain, I think it's really important to take ownership and take responsibility and accountability. I try to be empathetic. I try to lead by example. I try to be honest. I try to have an opinion. And I think it's really healthy to have an opinion when there are a lot of people who are afraid to express it. And so, when you've got a thought, when you've got a position and you're willing to express it, that's when great things happen. And so it doesn't mean you have to be right every time, but it means you have to be willing to place bets, take chances, assume some risk, and hopefully reap the rewards of those challenges.
I really respect the way that you replied with I try for all the different characteristics. I try to be empathetic. I try to be a good listener. I try to set a good example. I try to be a great communicator, because what that really showcases is just your authentic self, that you are giving it your best. And we're all human. Some of us, like, we're fragile. Not everything's going to be perfect, but you give a shit and you give it your best, which is really important.
Yeah, I mean, look, I give too much of a shit, and I think for me, it's really important to have purpose, and so that purpose is whether I get up in the morning and I get on the treadmill and I say I'm committed to running 3, 4, 5 miles today. I'm going to hit that goal and I'm going to fulfill on it, or whether it's that I'm going to walk into this office and I'm going to lead by example, or I'm going to walk down the hall of a of a customer or a meeting, and I'm going to put on a happy face, and I'm going to at the end of the day tell like it is, because I think it's really important that in a complicated world that we simplify it. And simplification comes with with a sense of authenticity. And, if you're going to go fake the funk, your days are probably pretty long. But if you're going to go and you're going to tell it like it is and keep it real and do it in a way that I think is fair, and it comes with a level of understanding that you're doing it in a thoughtful manner, then do it all day. And that's been the brand. That's what we've been for the better part of the past 20, 25 years as a professional.
Yeah.
And that's not stopping anytime soon.
What would you tell your younger self?
I think a lot about that. I think, my younger self didn't realize he really had to work for it. And so, sometimes you're good, sometimes you're lucky, sometimes there's a equal equation where you've got a little bit of both. And so, as I look back at a career that has definitely had its ups and downs, and, for the most part, far more ups than downs, I've always surrounded myself with people who allowed me to be successful, who empowered me to be successful, and who taught me. And so, once upon a time when I started out, I hit the jackpot with a first boss who let me observe everything that they did, and really introduced me to an industry that I knew nothing about. And from there on, that set the bar pretty high. As I looked at opportunities and I looked at career path and I thought about how to get from point A to point B and what would be point C and point D, I started to think about a career as a series of jobs. And the career is when you leave school, ultimately to when you hang up the jersey.
Yep.
And everything in between those jobs are a bunch of chapters in your story. And so how do you take your story and make it really interesting? And how do you take that story and how do you continue to grow it? And how do you start to think about, if I knew then what I know now? The answer is it doesn't apply, because everything that I do today didn't exist when I was early on in my career. So, I think ultimately it comes down to having a thesis that you operate under, and and saying, okay, this is how I'm going to define myself as I look at my career objectives moving forward.
So with that, who were some of the co-authors, if you will, some of the mentors that made an impact on you professionally that have helped you get to where you are today, because they helped you realize that you have to work hard, you have to put in the effort, you have to be authentic? If you, looking back, who are some mentors that have made a profound impact on your career thus far, both professionally and personally?
Yeah. I mean, look, I knew nothing about the advertising business growing up, right? I went off to the University of Wisconsin. I was a C student, and my dad was a doctor. My mom was a lawyer, and I was a 2.5 GPA. And so I wasn't going to follow in anybody's
And you got
footsteps.
into Wisconsin?
Yeah. Well,
Amazing.
that was in Wisconsin, but
Okay.
that's where the EQ IQ
Yep.
conversation
I get
comes
it.
in.
I get it.
But I applied for an internship at NBC, and this woman named Linda Yacarino, who's a first-time sales manager, pulled my resume off a pile and invited me into what was her house at that point at 30 Rock, and opened my eyes to an industry that I didn't know existed. And she hired me for a couple summers. She remains a wonderful friend, and what I consider to be a personal board member. And so when I've got questions, when I need advice, I look back at the people who have really left that mark on me, and who I try to carry with me a little bit of what they instilled upon me once upon a time everywhere I go. And so I look at a couple stops in my journey. I look at my time at 24/7 Real Media. I look at a guy named Ari Blumen, who is a legend in this industry, would probably sit on a Mount Rushmore of AdTech if there was one. And, Ari taught me just about, how important it is to get out there, and, the notion of activity and sales leadership. And then I went on to MySpace and News Corp, and I worked under Adam Bain, who has gone on to do some amazing things. And when I look at Adam and how he so effortlessly led a massive organization and the world's largest website at the time in MySpace, started to think differently and started to recognize that media and data could be decoupled to create this thing called programmatic, I was in the eye of the hurricane that was the revolution. And so, you may not have been conscious of it at the time, but these were people who every minute that they invested in me by allowing me to sit in on a meeting, by listening to a call that they were on, by, presenting ideas to them, and they weren't dismissive. They were totally accepting. That encouraged me to be my best self. And so,
Amazing.
I take that with me every single day as I encourage our employees and the people around me to be their best self.
Amazing, Matt. What excites you about mentorship? What excites you about the OhHello community and the OhHello platform itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point you blink and you become the old guy in the room, and so the experienced guy. I take it back, the experienced guy.
Yeah.
And so, when I look back at almost 25 years of working in the broadcast world, the print world, the measurement world, the digital world, the AdTech world, I think I've been really, really fortunate to have people who've invested in me. And, now all of a sudden turnabout is fair play. And it's my turn to share some of that knowledge and, my time and my insights and experience to help them to forge the next generation. And so, the next generation doesn't mean that you have to be an early stage employee that's just getting out of, school and starting to find their way. Next generation can be someone who's a peer to me, who's thinking about something radical and disruptive. And so, I think it comes back to you can't put a price on experience. And, in an environment like the one that we're in today, experience matters. Experience is how you navigate through some tough times. And there are plenty of tough times out there. So, whether you're trying to manage through the operational part of your day, the capital markets part of your day, even the regulatory part of the day, it's an industry that's a moving target. And, I think it's my pleasure and my privilege to sit here and help people to navigate it because at the end of the day, I feel very fortunate. I feel very lucky. And, I want to help people to get to that point where they take this industry that I've helped to drive to a certain point. There's going to be a day where I hand that baton to that next generation, and I want them to be well equipped.
Nice. That was a really nice response. As a hello, you know that you're going to be able to donate to over 40 plus charities that are baked into our platform. What's a cause that's near and dear to your heart, Matt, and why? Or a cause is, plural.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we're at a time where mental health is real. And, there are plenty of people who have challenges, including myself, waking up every day, getting out of bed, operating and, having a clear head and thinking with poise and purpose. And so, at a moment in time where it's really easy to see the doom and gloom and, read bad headlines and gravitate towards them, there's plenty of positive opportunity out there. But the question is, how do you harness those opportunities for yourself? How do you get the help that you might need? How do people find it when they may not have the resources to go out and, secure it on their own? And so mental health has been really an initiative that, I think has largely been, unfortunately, labeled with a stigma. I think it's about time that we kind of get past it. I think we're starting to see prominent folks speak out about their own challenges. And,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
and I think that, if we can do things to help to drive towards better resourcing, better utility, and better access, then everybody wins.
Awesome. Matt, so appreciate you being a guest on the pod. So appreciate you being part of the OhHello community and the platform. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you for having me. I think, it's truly a pleasure. And
Thank you.
appreciate everything you're doing and keep up the good work, man, because you're doing God's work here. It's really important.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks, everybody. Take care.